Hello, welcome to Yin Yoga. So this week, we're going to go into the second limb of the 8-limb yoga path, which are the niyamas. So if the yamas, which we've been doing the past several weeks, are more like yoga ethics, think about niyamas as more of practices. So the first one in the niyamas, and there's 4 or 5 of them, is Saucha. And that basically translates to cleanliness or purity. And what that means to you is just what it means to you, different things to different people. So I like to think of it as cleanliness and purity from the inside and on the outside. So as I had a little bit of a week off, my cleanliness has focused a lot on the inside. I got some test results back that I didn't really like. So I'm trying to cleanse certain organs so those will get better and back in balance. And I did a lot of cleaning on the outside in my environment here. So I'll bring those up periodically as we get going. Props as needed, bolster or a cushion. You can use pillows, you can use blankets. And I've got one of my blankets already folded here because one of the first poses we'll do is cat pulling a tail. And I'm going to use this to support my shoulder for people that need just a different way to go in there for their bodies. So just kind of have those handy and we'll go ahead and get started. And we won't need the strap today. So I'm just going to push that to the side. Okay. So finding a nice tall sit, big inhale. And exhale. Big inhale. And exhale. Big inhale, arms up overhead, reach, 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 touching palms together. Exhale, hands in the heart center. Good. So coming to that intention. So I've given you the first niyama, the saucha, the cleanliness, the purity. You can use that one and ponder that, or you can come up with your own. And when you're ready, we'll take that up and come down. Good. From here, we're going to go into a little bit of a cleansing breath, alternate nostril breathing. So I'm just going to kind of make that little Star Trek, live long and prosper with my hands. So I've got my pointer in my middle here, my ring and my pinky here, my thumb is over here. If this isn't working for you, for the longest time, I had to manually move my fingers in place. That's fine. Just think about closing with the thumb and closing off with your other fingers on the other side. We'll use the right hand. And whenever you're ready, good. Big inhale, big exhale. Good. Close off the right nostril, inhale left. Close the left, open right, exhale. Inhale right. Close right, open left, exhale. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale right. Close right, open left, exhale. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale right. Close right, open left, exhale. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Release the hand, breathe normal. Good. From here, when you're ready, taking the arms up overhead. Good, let's take a nice side bend towards the right. Sits bones grounded. Breathe and expand the rib cage. The alternate nostril breathing can be cleansing. It can also be balancing. Taking that over to the other side. And taking that back up. Big inhale, exhale, rotate. Taking those arms down, rolling shoulders back, looking a little bit more behind you. Breathe and expand. Inhale and lift. Exhale, center. Inhale, exhale, other side. So the Kapalabhati, the breath of fire, is also considered a cleansing, purification breath. Look for an instructional video on that coming out later this week. Inhale and lift, and exhale, coming back center. Good. Any other little movement here that would just feel good and yummy to you? And when we're ready, we're going to come onto our backs. Let's move my timer out of the way here. So as you come onto your back, take your feet as wide as your mat. Now, if you're not practicing on a mat, just come a little bit wider than hip width apart. Good. You can let your arms kind of go wherever it is that they want to go. And just do a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here, kind of getting settled in. Now, zip up from pubic bone to behind the navel, belly button into the spine. We're going to let those knees go over to the right. When you do that, that left hip is going to come up, and that's okay. And keeping those abs in, taking it through center, going into the other side. Good. So there's a lot of twisting today as we're in this purification practice. So yes, cleanliness, purity does mean taking showers. You want to take regular showers if you can, or baths if you're a bath person. But it also can go beyond that. So what about freeing yourself as much as you can from pollution elsewhere in the air, the water, your food? Good. So now from here, when you're ready, let's take our knees in the tabletop. We're going to take those knees all the way over towards the right. So support yourself, have a blanket or something between the knees if you need that. Breathe and expand. We'll be here for 3 minutes. You can also look to the left if you want full spinal twist. So from a pollution standpoint, in the last week, because I was cleaning up my house, we came up with the need for getting better air filters for our house. So that's one thing you can do to help in your environment. Air purifiers. We had one. I bought a second one. I bought a third one today. Thank you, Amazon Prime, for putting one on sale. And then we have water filtered water. And of course, clean eating, organic whenever it's possible and financially feasible for you. And whether you're using conventional or organic, don't forget to wash off your fruits and veggies. Come back to breath, come back to intention. Sorry, there's a little bug flying around in here. I've got some plants. I'll explain that in a little bit. But sometimes indoor plants, little gnat type bugs hatch out of the soil when you bring them in. And I've got one flying around and I really don't want it to go up my nose. So if you see me make any funny little moves, that's what it is. Good. So from here, carefully take the head back to center if you turned it to left. Good. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring myself out of this rotation. So I'm still on the right side. I'm just bringing that arm around. And while I'm here, let's just take a nice little circle here. Just a few little rounds in one direction and then the other. So not really cleansing, but we have synovial fluid in our body that lubricates our joints, and movement in that joint helps get that fluid and the nutrients going in there. So just kind of help yourself a little bit. Good. From here, one leg at a time, let's come back to center. Good. Give yourself a little wiggle, wiggle. And we're going to take that to the other side. So from here, knees are going to come into your tabletop position, knees over hips, shins parallel to the floor. And we're going to take that over to the left. Good. And then maybe looking to the right. Put a prop or something between the legs if that would make it more comfortable for you. Still think about breathing and expanding. So another thing about thinking about purity and cleanliness. What about kind of going back into the yamas a little bit? What about toxic relationships, not just with people, but in different situations? Maybe we tend to hold on to anger. Toxic food, lots of processed, high sugar, high fat. And when I say high fat, I mean bad fat, saturated fat, lots of salt and sodium. Or different kinds of addictions. If you've got one of those, I feel you. Sugar addiction, I think it's one of the hardest addictions in the world to try to break. And I'm currently battling a cheese addiction right now. So it doesn't always have to be drugs and alcohol. It can be other things too. Breathe and expand. Always coming back to breath. Good. So from here, we'll take the head back to center. Good. Carefully, carefully lift up that left shoulder, coming all the way over to the left. So you're still on your side. And then while you're here, you're not in rotation, but just kind of take a few circles with that shoulder and a few a few times in one direction. And then a few times in the other. Good. And then when you're ready, one leg at a time, come back onto your back. Good. Bring the knees into the chest and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here. So we're going to come into that cat pulling the tail. So I'm going to take this in this direction just so you can better see the angle of what I'm doing here. And let me fix the time. Good. So I'm going to start. Nope. You have both my props here. Good. So I'm going to start doing what we just did. So I'm on my side. And I am actually lying on my right side here. So my knees, the knees are straight out from the hips. They're stacked. No big deal here. So from here, I'm going to leave my top leg right where it is. I'm going to move my bottom leg behind me. So now you can see my foot behind me. Okay. Now, some people like myself, so I'm going to do this to hold my back. And if you've got a cranky back or hip, I recommend supporting that top leg here on something. Some of us are able to open up. So now you're going into rotation and bind with that foot, okay? And opening up here. So you're the cat pulling the tail. Some of us, that's too deep of a rotation based on different things we've got going on. So maybe you don't want to bind. Maybe you just want to kind of open here, but you see if I'm open here, if I'm not binding, I'm not connected with my shoulder. So maybe I take a folded blanket or something underneath that shoulder, and I can let this arm just come out here, and now I'm rotated, but I'm nice and supported, okay? So this feels a lot better to a lot of people. You're still getting all of the benefits here with support. So find the support that your body needs here and take that. Now, I don't need this blanket under my shoulder because I've got the bind. So we'll try this for just a couple minutes. Good, breathe and expand. So maybe we just need to clean some things a little bit deeper. So this past week when I was off a little bit, I deep cleaned out my pantry, threw a lot of things away, cleaned the floor, cleaned the shelves. It wasn't just getting rid of expired things and reorganizing. It was the whole thing. Everything came out, everything got looked at, and then deep cleaned. So that's one way you can do it, cleaning out drawers. How often do we truly clean out our refrigerator and our freezers? We all have things in there that linger maybe a little bit too long, unexpectedly expire. Or the things we know have freezer burn in the freezer, but it just keeps getting left in there because we don't want the hassle of having to take it out to the Herbie right away. So from here, good. If you're bound, carefully release the foot. Let that leg extend long for a moment. And then everybody that's in the rotation, carefully come back over, coming out of the rotation. Good. And then just let both legs come long for a moment, maybe reaching long behind you, getting a nice side body stretch. And then when you're ready, in the way that's best for you, move slow. If you need to move slow, come back onto your back. Give yourself a little wiggle here. And then we're going to take that all to the other side. So I'm just going to shift my props around from one side to the other. So again, think about side lying on the other side. Knees are stacked. Everything is stacked here to get set. Good. The top leg is going to stay where it is. Good. And then your bottom leg is going to reach behind you. So your foot comes behind you. Maybe you bind with it and open up like that. Maybe you don't. So again, I'm going to support under that top leg because that's what my back and hip needs. On this side, I do need support underneath the shoulder. So I'm going to bring my folded blanket under there. Maybe I can get it situated here. Good. And then from here, now I'm going to open up. So I'm not going to bind on this side. I'm just going to open. I'm going to enjoy this rotation without crunching into my low back. So sides are different. Find what you need on this side, which might not be the way that you did it on the other side. But sometimes I get comments say don't do the same thing on the other side and people get confused. Well, we're not all the same on each side and some people need different options. So that's why I do that. I also want to show that I'm not perfect as a teacher. My body is human like everybody else's. And sometimes I need to do different things on one side than the other. So that comes from honoring the body. Going back to the yamas, the ahimsa, the do no harm. And I would argue that that could be saucha, cleanliness or purity, because when you don't honor yourself, you create toxicity within inside yourself. And we don't want that. We always want to honor where we are in the moment. Good. So from here, wherever you went in your rotation, whether you were bound or supported, carefully release and come out of the rotation. Good. Lengthen that bottom leg long. Good. Carefully take the top leg long, and then maybe we reach arms overhead and come to a nice little stretchy here. And then in the way that's best for you, carefully come back onto your back and give yourself a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Good. Now from here, I'm just going to stay here for this one so it'll look pretty different on the camera. We're going to take this into a happy baby. Let's get into the hips a little bit here. I will also show you happy adult. So from here, good. You can take an outside or inside grip of the feet or yogi toe. Good. My hips, my knees, and toes are turning out away from the body, and I'm bringing my feet up towards the ceiling, kind of like I'm doing a big squat and my feet are on the ceiling. For some of us, this isn't really comfortable, so maybe we come into happy adults. We're letting the knees bend, and instead of reaching for the feet, we reach for the shin. So you're still opening the hips. You can still lengthen the spine from crown to tail here, just a little bit less intense for some people. So find what you need here. We'll be here for a couple minutes as well. And breathe and expand. Relax the shoulders wherever you are. Big cleansing breaths. So from here, carefully release. Let the legs come long in front of you. Good. Maybe you need another long stretch here. And when you're ready in the way that's best for you, carefully come onto your side and carefully come up to a seat. Good. So from here, we're going to go into a Janu Sirsasana, and we'll do this for 3 minutes. So add one more. Good. So if you need to sit up on a folded blanket, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to do this at an angle. So we're going to start by taking the left leg long forward. Good. And then your right foot's going to come on the inside of this left thigh. Good. So if you're really tight and you're kind of jacked up here, fill this in with something. Good. Also fill in under this knee if you're really tight in the back side of the body and you're afraid of hyperextending here. Always keep it supported. But from here, good. Big inhale when we reach. Exhale, hinge from the hips, and we'll take a fold. Good. Breathing and expanding here. So remember, don't go to your deepest here right off the bat. Go right before your deepest. Breathe and expand the rib cage. As we talk about, again, the purity, the cleanliness. Feed your body and your spirit with things that enrich it. We go a little bit beyond, just healthy foods, fruits, veggies, lean meats, whole grains, those kinds of things. What could you do to feed the spirit, enrich the spirit? What inspires you? What embodies you? From here, when you're ready, carefully come out of there. Good. If you need a little bit of a rotation in one direction, gently take that. And when you're ready, we're going to switch sides. So now I'm going to take the right leg forward, take the left foot in. Good. Find your support where you need it. Do you need to sit on something? Do you need something under the knee? Find what you need. And then from here, big and tall, big inhale. Exhale, taking that forward. So remember, go right before your edge. Breathing into it. There's a quote I like that I think goes with Saucha very well, and it says, when the body is clean, we achieve more brightness and the mind and actions become pure. So reconnecting with your breath, belly button stays in. From here, when you're ready, carefully come up out of there. And again, if you need a gentle rotation in one direction, take it, and maybe in the other. Good. So before we come into snail, let's get into a little bit of extension. So I'm going to come onto my belly. I'm just going to move this back here. I'm going to move my blanket out of the way. Good. So I'm just going to come onto the belly here. And as I come onto the belly, good, we'll just do this one for a couple minutes. Good. So think about just giving yourself a little wiggle here. Just let everything kind of settle down. You want to make sure that your legs are about hip width apart and not together, because that can put undue pressure on the back. Then I'm going to take my forearms here. Good. My belly button is in. I'm lengthening just a little bit. I'm going to press up. So my shoulders are in their pockets. I'm strong on my forearms and my elbows. I'm going to shine my heart a little bit more forward as I look forward, and just be right here in this a little bit more gentle extension. Now I'm going to stay looking forward here. Some people like to do little neck stretches and rolls here. If that's you, feel free to go for it. And so another way you can clean and purify your space is adding plants into your space. They take in your CO2 and produce you with fresh oxygen. I just find them too a little bit more homey and aesthetically pleasing. So I do have plants in my yoga studio now. My husband's getting ready to add plants to his office. If you've got pets, be mindful you want pet-friendly plants if you're going to have plants on the inside. Sometimes cats and little dogs like to chew on things. We want to make sure that they're safe. And it goes back to that do no harm. Good. So from here, carefully come out of the extension. Make a little pillow with the hands. Give yourself a little wiggle here. Good. Whenever you're ready, hands under the shoulders, press up, take it back, child's pose. And then from here, we're going to prepare to come into snail. So for snail, we'll do that for 2.5 minutes. Well, not 3 minutes, certainly not 5 minutes. I need a new timer for sure. There we go. So as I'm getting the timer set up here, you can come onto your back. Those of you that know that the full plow, taking the feet behind you onto the floor is not your jam, you can take a blanket. Good. And it can be low here. You can also fold it again. This will just make a little bit of a softer surface. Now, if you've got a yoga block somewhere, you can also do the same. And you can take that right under the hips. Good. So you've got a little bit of an inversion here, but now you don't have to worry about your neck or, different things like that getting involved. Okay. There are a lot of contraindications to snail or plow. So this is a nice one to do. This is also a nice one to do here. Legs up the wall, modified version of that. So find one of those if that's where you need to be. Now, for me, my feet probably will not touch the ground today. I've got my bolster back here for a reason. So if your feet don't touch the ground, you definitely want to keep your hands behind you for support. I like to have an additional bolster or something back here, just so that I don't get in the habit of trying to do this bouncy bounce back there, okay? We don't want to do that. But from here, when you're ready, rolling your shoulders back. Good. Take it up. There we go. Taking it over, lengthening a little bit, hinging from the hips. I missed my bolster. Go. I'll be here for a couple minutes. Now your weight is on your shoulders here. You don't want the weight to be on the neck. So if you feel that bone at the base of the neck uncomfortably popping out, that's your cue that you've gone too far back. You should also still be able to breathe comfortably. This is not for people with eye pressure issues and controlled blood pressure, neck issues. Go back to one of those different modifications that I gave you before I came up in here. And ideally, you can lengthen the spine just a little bit more here and then hinge the hips back. Believe it or not, this is my hardest yin pose. A lot of people think that frog pose is, but for me, it's not. It's actually the plow. Belly button is still in here. Don't just let it all go. Keep your support. If you need to come out of here early, listen to your body and come out early. Back to intention. If you feel yourself start to hang a little bit in low back, find a little bit of length. And 3, 2, 1. Good. From here, carefully roll out. I had to see how much time we had, otherwise I was going to have to roll out early. Good. From here, bending the knees, rock, 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 side to side. Gently take head and neck from side to side. Good. So one more time, we're going to come into a twist. So clear the space on each side. And again, you can also bring in a prop here if you need to put under a leg, and I'll probably do that. But what I'm going to do, good, is I'm going to take my right leg long in front of me. Good. I'm going to bring my left leg up. I'm going to bring my bolster over here to my right side. So when I rotate and take this twist to the right, my leg has something to be supported on. Okay. And then I'm just going to open up. So again, and you'll find that here a little bit of a different twist. If you need to bend this top knee, it's okay to bend it, but breathe and expand. So throughout this class, I've kind of talked a little bit about Saucha, purity, especially how I interpret it, what it means to me. So ponder for a moment, what does that mean to you? And if you need some other ideas to help purify myself outside of just a shower, massages are really good. That gets lymph and everything moving and going and out of the body. I dry brush to get the dead skin off my skin. One of the first things I do in the morning is I scrape my tongue, I oil pull, I blow my nose, I put drops in my eyes, just kind of cleaning up a little bit from the night before. Flossing, don't underestimate the value of flossing. From here, when you're ready, good. We're gonna bend this knee as we take it back to center. And as you come back to center, good, just readjust the hips if you need to and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle side to side. Good, now I'm gonna readjust my props for this side or the other side. I'm gonna move over a little bit here too, just so I have room to do that. So now Your left leg is going to come long. Your right leg is going to come up. And then from here, take that twist towards the left. Support that leg if you need to, opening up that shoulder. Get a couple minutes here. From here, when you're ready, head back to center. Bend that right knee as you come back to center. Good. Both feet on the ground. Readjust the hips. Give yourself a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Good. Let's take one little full body stretch here. Just reach and lengthen. And then from here, we're going to come into Shavasana. So set yourself up for a good Shavasana for you, where you can relax a little bit here. Purity and cleanliness of the mind. Good. I'm going to bring in a neck pillow here as well. Good. So once you get to where you're going, see if you can wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Make yourself about 10% more comfortable. And then when you're ready, I'll leave you here pondering the Saucha. What does cleanliness and purity mean to you? How can you incorporate a little bit more of that into your life? Baby steps, small steps are the most sustainable steps. Taking some deep breaths here. Choose stillness or gently take head and neck from side to side. Choose stillness or invite movement of fingers and toes. Choose stillness or maybe bringing knees into the chest. Choosing to keep the upper body grounded, or maybe you want to lift it up here to full body hug. And choosing stillness or moving any props out of the way that you may have used during Shavasana time. Taking legs in front of you, arms long behind you. One more time, make it your best. One long full body stretch, reaching from fingers to toes. Point and flex through the feet. Bend and stretch through the hands, twirling wrists and ankles in one direction and then in the other. And then from here, whenever you're ready, carefully bending in both knees, and you choose rolling over onto your right or left side, the side that works best for your body in this moment. Staying here as long as you would like, or gently pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat. And then from here, when you're ready, taking fingertips to the side, noticing how you feel now versus when we started. Palms up, inhale, reach, 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 and lengthen, touching palms together. Exhale, hands in the heart center. Coming back to that niyama, the saucha, the cleanliness and purity, one more time, or the one that you chose for yourself. We'll take thumbs to the forehead for good and true thoughts, to our lips for good and kind words, and to our hearts for open and loving hearts, knowing no effort on this mat is ever wasted. No gain is ever reversed. May you be safe. May you stay well. May you have a wonderful day, evening, month ahead. Namaste.